For Raul, I had created previously some code to execute and build the plane shape controls. There is an example of this in the default character. There is always a rig facial, which is this file, and as you can see, I'm loading here the environment, and I'm loading here something called the default facial definition. This default facial definition, it's nothing else than a facial definition dictionary that can exist in any of the characters. It's a global variable that I'm handling with the environment, and that can contain a dictionary or whatever information you want. Usually I would put there information about the geometry, about what you want to connect. So there is already a facial build there, and we are trying to build a different one, very easy here. But you can just copy and use the one that's in the default character. Anyway, I want to try to explain how it's working by creating a new one, so you can understand what we are going to do, right? So I'm going to start by understanding this code. How can I make this code run? Right now, if I run this, I don't see where it's going to build this facial rig, right? This facial rig, you can't see where it's going to be built. Like, there is nowhere here that where this code is going to run, and all this organization of these steps are nothing else than Python scripts, right? So maybe I want to add another step in the middle here where I create a facial rig, and to do that I'm going to copy first the build config. The build config is this file that contains all the information of which code is going to be executed in each step. And you can see here that first import geometry, which is this text, is going to execute rig build import geometry. Import guides, it's going to execute rig build import guides. Actually, import guides, I don't need it, because import guides, it was to load guides from mgear that I was using with a different group at some point. But anyway, I'm going to copy this file. I'm going to paste it here in Raul, and I'm going to add it. As I said, in this build config, this is a different build config, not the one that I was looking at before. This is the new copy that I created. I don't need the import guides because I'm not using the mgear guides. I'm just going to import the geometry, import reference points, which it should be import reference files actually, because it's not importing just the points, it's importing all the files that I have, right? So I think it's more it gives me more information, the name import reference files, even though it executes a function that's called import reference points anyway. And then the rig, and I could add here build facial rig. So it's a set. This is a set. I need to put a comma here to add one more to this list. This is a list, and the name, it's going to be build facial, and it's going to execute from rig facial the function inside rig facial. You can see that I have a function that's called build. So that's the function that needs to execute. I need to be very careful because by mistake, well, I'm going to leave it there, and it's going to appear here. Look, if I switch and I go back to Raul, here is the build facial. And as I said, I need to be very careful because in the rig facial, I left the function running. I don't want that function running here. Every time I reload, it's going to execute that function. You can see here, it already created the eyes, and it created the controls, and maybe it linked them. I'm not sure if it linked them, but it could have linked them. I close. Whoops, everything is broken. Or something is broken here. Amazing. Yeah, it's trying to apply the eye to the face. I don't know what's doing, but this is wrong. I'm just going to delete it, the rig. I don't really need the rig. And you can see that I have multiple versions of the rig, right? So I'm going just to delete this. Anyway, I think I have called the eyes characters. That's the reason. Anyway, yeah, I can see here, and the base mesh is called character. That's why it's trying to apply these eyes into the main face. But anyway, so I need to remove this build so it doesn't execute every time I reload the script. I can do it in two ways. I can just delete it. Usually I wouldn't delete it. I will just put a sentence here: if name equals main, which means that it's only going to be executed, this code, if the name is main, which means that it's a main file that I am running. So for example, I could just run this file in Maya and it's going to execute the build, but in the cases where it's loaded through an interface and it's just an import inside some other file, it's not going to run this build function. So you can do both things. You could just put this or delete it, right? So anyway, this build facial, it's going to be executing this build function. I need to modify some little things. First, where's my geo? This is my geo. What's the name of my eyes? It's called eyes raul. Remember that this rig facial accepts what's the base mesh, and in this case is my eyes raul, the control, and I have already written this. And now this should execute that function. If I go here and I go mail, again Raul, and I create a new scene, don't save, I need to reload here Raul, and I build facial. Well, first let's build till custom break, and let's go to build facial. Build facial. It's going to create the bees, and it's going to connect the eyes closed, right? It doesn't look like it's doing it, but it is. Let's keep the final geo and let's see. Yeah, there is my left eye and my right eye, right? So this is how I created these interfaces. And now my build is running. In my next video, I'm going to see how to create the dictionary to link this one to the browse. So I'm gonna stop this video here.